Karen Knudsen on the value of diplomacy, and Alicia Wood-Charlson. Please make your way to the microphone.
Oops. Thank you, Senator, for all that you've done. Karen Knudsen, East West Center. You touched upon this a little bit with the discussion about Secretary Mattis and the need for foreign policy diplomacy. With the proposed budget, skinny budget, cutting out a lot of the State Department budget, where do you find this landing?
So I think the State Department will be fully funded. I think Lindsey Graham he's really fantastic on about 2/3 of the stuff, and really bad on the stuff. I told him, he kind of came up to me like I don't know, 6 months in, and he goes, "Hey Brian, you've been a pleasant surprise." And I kind of went, "Huh?" And then I told him that I thought he'd make a great president, except the commander-in-chief part. But Lindsey is a real leader on the need for diplomacy. He's on the State and Foreign Ops Subcommittee on Appropriations. I don't think there's any chance that we're going to enact a budget that eviscerates the State Department. I really think that the likelihood is very close to zero. There's a second part of the State Department which has to do with nominees. There are 110 nominees that we're waiting for, ambassadorships, assistant secretaries. So like assistant secretary for East Asian Affairs, assistant secretary for diplomatic security, right? Ambassadors to many of our Asian countries. Most of the ambassadorships haven't even been nominated. So it is the neglect of the whole department that is manifest in the skinny budget, but that we will take care of. But we can't make them nominate people. And at first, I was there's some executive agencies where you say, well, if a career person steps up, I'm cool with that, right? You know, a career civil servant is the acting whatever. You can't do that in diplomacy, right? Because you can't meet with your counterpart internationally and you're the acting. It shows them you don't care about the issue. You need to meet counterpart to counterpart. You know, plenipotentiary is the word they use, which means that you are authorized to represent your government, that what you say represents the whole country. And nobody can be plenipotentiary without being confirmed by the Senate. And we can't confirm people because there have now been 2 State Department out of 110 nominations that need to be done.
Thank you for your service.
Maybe last 2 questions, Sarah.
Okay, the next one is by Alicia Wood-Charlson on science funding, and then Tiffany Peak.
Aloha, and again, thank you, as everyone else, for all that you do in support of the state and wider than that. And so my question was on science funding. I work at the University of Hawaii in my field of oceanography and climate change, and I'm also representing the March for Science. So if anyone has questions on that, I'll hang out afterwards. And I'd love your opinion if you support the March for Science. But first of all, we talked about appropriations and funding for basic research. And I wonder, NSF and NIH, and I know NIH has been kind of a hot topic lately, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, so I think NIH and NSF, well, I think NIH is in better shape and CDC than possibly some of the other science agencies. There is real jeopardy there where there are climate-oriented science, endeavors. I think part of what has to happen over time is that to the extent that we're doing climate change, look, actually there are pragmatic Republicans who recognize in their home states that climate change is actually upon them too. Coastal states, shipping-dependent states, agricultural states. And so we've been able to work on a bipartisan basis on coastal resiliency, civil defense preparedness, right? Coastal zone management. In other words, just don't say the word climate, and they're cool. And so there's an avenue to keep doing the good work, but I do think some of the, very, very much unapologetically climate-oriented stuff has got a target on its back, and that's frankly one of my main jobs in the appropriations context, is to see what kind of nasty stuff they're doing about that. Was there a second part to the question, or was that it?
If you're willing to say why you support the March for Science.
Oh, I support the March for Science because my dad was a principal investigator. I support the March for Science because climate change is the challenge of our generation, and it will be solved by scientists.
And the last question is going to Tiffany Peak.
Mr. Schatz, thank you for all you do. I'm here as a supporter of Planned Parenthood, and my question to you is, well, first of all, what I do on the ground is encourage students and other supporters in our community in general to remember Planned Parenthood and the important work they do in Hawaii. And I want to know how we can support Planned Parenthood at the federal level, especially considering defunding, and how will that affect Planned Parenthood at the state level? Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for what you do for women and girls and for families and for public health. Thank you for everything you do in cancer prevention, cancer screening, and helping women and girls to be in control of their own health and to have a safe place to do that. I will tell you that I believe I was told this was true, that I was the first United States Senator to ever visit a clinic and do a photo op. That was kind of cool. But I think the other side of the coin of all these attacks is that people are starting to actually understand what Planned Parenthood does, and especially what it does with federal funding. And I just saw online that Dean Heller, who's running for re-election in Nevada, who's a Republican, started an answer to a question about Planned Parenthood in a town hall not unlike this. His answer was not well received, and by the end of his answer, he said, "I will protect Planned Parenthood." So, listen, I just think keep the pressure on. I mean, obviously you've got me, and you've got Maisie, and you've got Colleen, you've got Tulsi. You don't have to worry about us, but I think this national movement grows, and increasingly because of the internet, that momentum breeds momentum, right? Everywhere. And everybody's got friends across the country. And this thing is not done growing yet. But that's a really good example. It's a little thing, but it's actually not that little. To have a town hall where a Republican senator just promised to protect Planned Parenthood because there were people in the room demanding he did it, right? Yeah. It's that old story. I don't even know if it was true, but it was, President Johnson with Martin Luther King, right? In the Oval Office, Martin Luther King makes his case, and President Johnson says, "I know what I have to do, now go out there and make me do it." So please, keep making me do it. Thanks, everybody.